Many people believe that you need a lot of capital to start catfish farming in Nigeria. What if I tell you that that is not entirely true? You don't need so much capital in terms of money or a very massive land to start catfish farming in Nigeria. In this video, I'll be explaining to you extensively 3 major niches in catfish farming, the advantages, the disadvantages, and how you can break into catfish farming with a very small capital. Number 1 niche you can venture into is hatching or production. Hatching is basically you breeding new fishes. You get your broodstocks and you produce the little ones out of them and deciding to raise them up to a size we call fingerling or juvenile. Then you sell at that stage. So that is entirely the hatching niche. There are people that major basically on that, breeding new fishes up to fingerlings or juvenile or post fingerlings, and you can decide to sell at that stage. I'll be telling you the advantages and disadvantages of this particular niche and eventually how you can start small. First of all, with the advantages. The advantage is that it can be done in a small space. You don't really need a very massive space to start hatching, right? You can do it in a small space. I would explain better along the way when I'm explaining to you how you can start. Number 2 advantage is that it has a fast turnover. Let's say in 3 to 4 weeks, you can be done with a particular phase and you can sell your fishes. That is in 1 month. You can be done with a particular set of hatching and you can sell your fishes. So imagine you are hatching every 2 weeks. That means you can be sure of remaining in sales every 3 weeks or 4 weeks. That is a monthly. So you keep the business going, keep the business going, keep the business going like that. Number 3 advantage is that the demand for fingerlings and juvenile is high. Why is that? The reason is because not so many persons can handle hatching. It is very technical and I would explain to you how you can start it effortlessly. But it is technical. You need the technical know-how to be able to hatch successfully. So not many farmers are into hatching. What they do is to buy fingerlings and juvenile from those that are into production or hatching, and you remain in business that way. Number 4, it is a great standalone or an add-on. If let's say you want to remain completely on the hatching space, you can remain there, right? You can just keep on hatching. That is just a niche you are focused and major in. You just keep on hatching, keep producing, keep selling fingerlings, or you keep selling juvenile. That is just what you're going to focus on, or it is a great add-on as well. So if you are into another niche of catfish farming, I would put it to you that every one of them is starting from the production stage. So you can decide to produce for yourself and use it in another niche, which I'll be explaining in this video. So these are the advantages. The disadvantages to this is this: it requires technical skill. You can't just do it anyhow. In fact, if you need workers to work with you, it requires you teaching them to an extent to understand what you are doing and what is needed to be done. Number 2 is that it is sensitive. Like I told you, it is very technical and it is sensitive. Your hatching can easily go bad. That is just the truth. I'm not going to lie to you about it. Your hatching can easily go bad if not well handled professionally. And again, it is stressful. That's the 3rd disadvantage. It is stressful, no doubt, because they are still very young, they are still very little, so you need time. It takes your time. You need attention to be able to take care of these fishes. Sometimes you would have to wake up in the midnight to feed them if you're feeding intermittently, depending on your feeding structure, or you would have to wake up midnight to check on them. You have to make, there is a lot, because sometimes the water system can be flowed through, so you'd have to wake up and check if the water is still good, because if they have just little pollution in their water, it can kill them and wipe a lot of them. So it is stressful, no doubt, it is stressful. Now I'll be explaining to you how you can start small. In as much as it is stressful, you can start small. That's just the good thing about it. Number 1 is that you can start in just a small room. Why am I saying this? The hatching setup, the room for hatching, is usually well constructed professionally, which can be a little bit expensive. But if you do not have money to have that setup and you have an empty room in your house, I can tell you how to manage that and have your hatching successfully. I know people that does that without having, of course in our farm here we have a very standard hatching setup, but I know people, some of my friends who are into this business, that uses just an empty room in their house and they are succeeding with that, what you would have to do in that regard is that make sure the room is airtight. That is, there is no ventilation coming into the room. If you have window, you just have to cover it up, either with curtain or a black cover around the room, just to make sure air is not entering the room, because the hatching process, the hatching room requires a very regulated temperature. The temperature in the hatching room has to be well regulated in that regard. Number 2 is that you need good water. I won't lie to you, if you don't have water, don't go into fish farming. You will not succeed. That's just the truth. But if you have water, that's a great advantage to you. You have, passed that particular phase. So you need good water. Good water, you can easily buy water test kits from online on Gigi or anywhere. They sell them everywhere, and use it to test your water. You'll see the instruction on how to test it. You test the pH level of the water. There are other components you're going to test to make sure that the water is good for your fishes. Number 3 on how you can start small is you don't need very large number of broodstocks. That is, if let's say with just 1 or 2 female broodstocks, you can get like 2 kg from that. 2 kg. That can give you 2 kg, 1 kg, or just one particular one can give you 2 kg. Just 2 kg of female broodstocks is enough. If you have a standard male, a good male as well, that does well, your hatching is going to go well. So that means just 2 female broodstocks with 1 male. If the hatching goes well, you can get up to 15 to 20,000 fishes from it alone. You can get up to that. I can assure you of that, because they give birth to many just at once when you do the hatching. And also, you just need 2 small tanks. Yeah, let's say you can do 3 by 3 feet, then the length can be 2 feet, right? 3 by 3 feet, 2 feet. Small, 2 is enough, right? 2 is enough. Then you can start with that. And lastly, which is very important, is that you need technical know-how. Don't go into it without knowing how to do it. So even if you're learning online or you're learning on site physically, look for a farm that does teach people on how to hatch. Learn from them, get the technical know-how on how to do it. Then you can start small gradually without having to go big into it. Why you need to learn it is because your broodstock selection is very technical as well. You need to know a female that has good egg, so there is a lot to look out for when selecting broodstock. So you need the knowledge, you need technical know-how, how to conduct the hatching process, the spawning and all of it. You need that knowledge. So very importantly, seek knowledge and you succeed with hatching with just your small capital. Number 2 is what we call grow out. So grow out basically is you raising your fishes from fingerlings and juvenile to stable size. What do I mean by stable sizes? When they attain weight of like 700 gram or 1 kg and above, that is stable size. That is the size you resell for eating. So you sell that to people that want to buy them and consume, or people that want to buy them and continue the business from there, like using it for barbecue or processing it and all of that. So there are farmers that basically major on grow out. So what they do is to raise fingerlings and juvenile to a stable size and they sell. They don't process. There are some other persons that process. It's a different niche. So that is basically what grow out is, and that is what it means. So I'll be telling you the advantages of this niche, the disadvantages of this particular niche, and also how you can start small this particular niche. So starting from the advantages, the number 1 advantage is that it is straightforward. It is very straightforward. Without no much technical skills, all you need to be doing is just feeding, water care, which is changing your water, and monitoring. Basically, that's all you'll be doing. That's all you will need to be doing to just take care of them. So it is straightforward. No much technical skills is required. Another advantage to it is that you would have more sales. That is because you are basically selling directly to customers. You and I know that customers are always more than the farmers. Like hatching, for instance, you'd have to sell to farmers. But this one, you sell directly to customers. So you tend to have more sales. The market space for it is larger. The space is bigger. So you have more sales. because you are selling directly to customers. And number 3 advantage is that you can easily scale up that business from 100. If you understand how it works, you can decide to scale it up to 200, to 500, to 1000. All you need to be doing is to just replicate the same process. While you replicate the same process, you increase your stocking quantity and you increase your ponds, for instance. So it is easy to scale. Then there are disadvantages to it as well. To every business that has advantage, there's always going to be a disadvantage. The disadvantage now is that number 1 is if you want to scale big, you need more space, right? So at that time, you know that you're definitely going to invest into a bigger space. It can no longer be in a small confined backyard business. You need a bigger space for it when you want to, or you wish to like scale. And the profit, that is the turnover for this business, the second disadvantage is that it takes time, that is 3 to 4 months. Okay, it takes you up to 3 to 4 months before you can start selling. Even though there is a hack to it, we farmers will remain in profit monthly. I don't wait for 6 months before I start profiting. And the hack behind that is that you stock intermittently. If let's say I have 5,000 to stock, I can decide to stock 1,000 in this month, the next month stock another 1,000, the third month stock another 1,000, the fourth month when I'm stocking the next 1,000 to make it 4,000, I'm already harvesting the one for the first month. So you can say I'm already in profit. The 5th month I'm harvesting the one for the second month. So in that way I remain profitable month in, month out in the fish business. So it is about your planning and your strategic move to it. Another disadvantage is that if you have poor management, it's going to affect you. Of course, in all of the sectors, if your management is poor, it's going to ruin your business. If they are not feeding them appropriately, you might not get the appropriate weight that you're supposed to get, because catfish farming basically is garbage in, garbage out. What I mean by that is there's what we call feed conversion ratio. What you feed them is what they convert into body mass for you to get the desired profit which you're looking for in this business. So I'll be explaining to you how to start small. I've told you the advantages and the disadvantages. Now I'll be explaining to you how to actually start small, the requirements, that is what you need, and the process you can adhere to start small in this particular niche. So number 1 requirement is water. I told you before, if you don't have water, don't start catfish farming. You need water, very importantly, to venture into catfish business. Very importantly, you need water. You need to test your water if it is good for catfish or not. So if you don't have water and you want to start catfish, fix that first. Make sure there is water before you start catfish farming. I won't lie to you about that one. Number 2 requirement is pond, right? You need pond. So if let's say you want to start small, which is the aim of this video, you can just start from your backyard with 1 pond. Just 1 pond is enough for you to start small. I'll be telling you, giving you the process or the procedures you can follow to actually start small. Having available your water and your pond, the way you can start small is this. I'll be using case scenario of 100 fingerlings. So you can start with just 100 fingerlings, right? Just buy 100 fingerlings, a hatcher or a fish marketer who is into production, right? Once you get 100 fingerlings, and it's not that expensive, right? 1 fingerling is between 30 to 40 naira depending on the farm you are buying from, right? So you can get it for as low as 30 naira. 30 naira multiplied by 100 is just 3,000 naira. You can see you are getting 3,000 naira for 100 fingerlings already. So it is not that expensive to get, it's that cheap. You get that for 3,000 naira. So after getting your fingerlings for 3,000 naira, you have your ponds, you have your water available. The next thing you have to source for is the feeding. For that 100 fingerlings, you will need almost about 200,000 naira to feed them for 3 to 4 months. So once you have that, you're good to go. You can start catfish grow-out farming conveniently without no much hassle, and it doesn't have a lot of work to do in terms of processing. So all you need is water, good pond. Just 1 pond in your backyard is enough. 100 fingerlings, case scenario of 100 fingerlings, and make sure you have money for feeding as well. Make sure you save as little as, let's say, 200,000 naira to feed them for 3 to 4 months. The third one is processing. This is basically adding value to catfish and reselling it. There are farmers that are basically into packaging, drying, either by ovum or every other means, or adding values to catfish like processing it for barbecue or for grilled fishes and selling it. So that is basically processing, and this is a niche you can decide to major on as well as a catfish farmer. There are a lot of advantages to this particular niche because it is one of the most easiest one to actually start with. So I'll be explaining to you the advantages for this particular niche, the disadvantages for this particular niche, and how you can start small. So in this way, you're welcome to catfish farming. So the advantages of this particular niche, number one is that you don't need ponds. A catfish farmer that doesn't need ponds at all. Number two is that you don't need water. I know I've told you severally that you need water to come into catfish farming. This is an aspect you do not need water to before you can venture into catfish farming. The processing aspect, you don't need water. There is high demand for processed or dried fishes locally and internationally. Another advantage there is that you can export your processed catfish, right? So you're making or taking advantage of the international market as well. And the fourth advantage to it is that it's the easiest to start with the very little capital. You can start processing, and before you know, you can expand and grow bigger in the catfish space as a catfish farmer, and it's very profitable as well. No doubt it is profitable. It is profitable. The disadvantages to it is that sometimes as a processor you might not have access to quality catfish all the times based on farmers' inconsistencies, right? And the prices of these catfish by farmers can just be raised with time to time. So that is a disadvantage which can actually be very well maintained. And also, number two disadvantage is that you need good hygiene, very good hygiene, because this is what people are going to consume directly from your farm. Do you get? You're already processing it for them before you give it out. So you need a very proper hygiene. That means all your staff, you need to monitor their hygiene to make sure they are very hygienic in handling all of these things. And number third disadvantage is that if, let's say, you want to start exporting internationally, you might need license before you'll be able to do that. So that might cost you a little money to get licensed to be able to export this product internationally. I'll be explaining to you next how to actually start small, right? How to start small. All you need to start small is a local oven. You can get a local oven and start processing this fish by yourself immediately. What do I mean? By drying them. Just your local oven is enough. Or if you want to go big, you can go for king, right? That's a bigger oven, standard, in a standardized way. You can have that to start processing. Also, if let's say you don't have all of this, you can go to a farm and use their oven to process. All you need to do is to pay little token to them. So there are farms that does that. They have oven. All you need to do is to buy fish from them, or you buy your fish from anywhere. Then they'll do the processing for you. They'll do processing for you. So if let's say you want to go into that, 1 kg of fish is sold right now for 3.5, depending on your location in Abuja, between 3.2 to 3.5. If you're buying very large quantity, around 3.2, let's say 3.5 at the standard price, right? So if let's say you're going for 20 kg, for instance, which you can start with as well, you're talking about 70,000 naira. That is 3.5 by 20 kg. So we're talking about 70,000 naira, and with that you can conveniently start processing, which is the third niche of catfish farming, which I've talked about. So in all of this, all you need to major on is your branding, your packaging, and your marketing. This is where I can see there will be a little work for you to do if you really want to go big with processing as a catfish farmer. You need to take care or focus more on your branding, your packaging, and your marketing, because the processing is not a tedious work, right? It's nothing much. So just focus on your branding, your packaging, and your marketing, and you'll do exceedingly well in this space. Now you have seen the 3 major niches in catfish farming, which is hatching, grow-out, or processing. The thing is, you don't have to start big, and you don't have to start all of them at once. You can start gradually. Just pick one that fits or suits your current situation, depending on what you think you have access to. You know, just start with that, right? Gradually, in few months, you'll be very thankful about your progress. For instance, if you know you do not have water, I'll tell you that processing is your go-to, right? So if you don't have water, you can go to processing. Just start with that. Gradually, you will be big in this industry and you'll be thankful for that. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share with your friends who you think will be interested in going into catfish farming. Also, subscribe to our channel for beginner-friendly videos like this. Remain profitable in business. Thank you.